This summer, I was required to visit a museum of my choosing in order to complete a summer work obligation that I had for my humanities class. While many may think that the best and easiest choice would be the Philadelphia Art Museum, the Franklin Institute, or some of the other famous Philadelphia museums, I chose a different path. For those of you who do not know, I spend the majority of my summer living in Ocean City, New Jersey, working and hanging out with friends and family. This summer, I chose to go and support a town favorite to complete my requirement, the Discovery Seashell Museum. I can barely find words to describe this place. It is half museum and pretty much half rummage sale. After parking on the street, you walk up to what looks like the bottom floor of any beach house, with starfish and small shells out front. This leads into something you would not find in any other museum that I must mention to you all. Everything here is for sale. You walk in the doors and are immediately surrounded by things. On one wall are thousands of seashells, each with the year they were found, where they came from, and of course, a dollar amount. They ranged from $5 for 3 shells all the way to $200 for 1. It is clear that there has been a great deal of work done to obtain, shelf, and catalog all of them. In here, you can also find whale bones, a small preserved shark, a shark jaw, live goldfish, and many more aquatic souvenirs. To me, this was spectacular. It was interesting to see, and the owners are clearly knowledgeable about the shells. But then you turn to the left, and you're faced with a wall of puzzles, all displaying places in Ocean City. Cool, great, this all makes sense. What does not make much sense is the one puzzle of London featuring a double-decker bus, Big Ben, and the London Eye. This confusion continues throughout the store. A handmade canoe oar sitting next to 6 Celebrity Cruise Line glasses. In the back of the store are hundreds of baseball cards dating back to the 70s. Some are rarer than others, and of course, more expensive. Now below this is quite possibly the greatest thing I ever saw this summer. Participation trophies for sale. If anyone wants to buy a youth baseball participation trophy of the Ocean City Halloween game from 1989, this is the place for you. The rest of the place is filled with stuff. Small trinkets, a large chest decorated fully in shells, placed in a perfectly symmetric pattern, and of course, 3 small people made of shells playing poker. And I know what many of you are thinking. What in the world is this place, and how is it still attractive and even open? In truth, I'm not telling you this to describe a place, but rather to talk about the person within it. Directly next to the door sits a young man, no older than college age, who's been helping visitors and customers with their questions and assisting small children with reaching high shelves. I had to talk to him and asked why he worked there. Why did he want to spend his time at a place like this? He explained to me that he had essentially lived here his whole life. It was originally opened by his great-grandfather and had been passed down through the generations in his family. This place was theirs. Everything in it had either previously belonged to their family or had been obtained by them. This museum meant absolutely everything to him. It was truly his family's pride and joy. I told him how much I loved the museum and how it was unlike any place I had ever been before. He explained that it brings him so much joy to see people come in and enjoy it. His family has seen kids come back 30 years later with their own children and continue to share the museum with their family. However, many people don't like it at all. They find it cluttered and confusing. A place that is a disgrace to the name museum. However, this man and his family don't care. If I could remember one thing about this place, it would be how much pride this man and his family had in this museum. And honestly, I think that's a lesson that people should learn from, including me. Throughout my childhood, my parents often asked me the question, "Are you proud of what you did?" This could look like a grade in class, tennis practice, a soccer game, or a variety of other things. However, while they had expectations for me, they never cared solely about my performance. One of the biggest things I've learned in my life is that failure is okay. I failed before, and I'm confident that I will fail again. I ran slower than I wanted to in a race. I've lost not even one, but multiple deciding matches for hill tennis, all in my fourth form season. I've scored the classic uncurved failing grade in AP Physics. I believe that my metaphorical trophy case has a lot of second place awards in it. Competitions I did not win, Dean's List level grades that I couldn't quite reach, and expectations that I simply did not meet. To me, that was failure. And failure can be a crushing thing if you really look at it the wrong way. I'm sure that, like me, many of you have heard the classic sayings of, in order to succeed, you must fail, or you must fail so that you know what not to do next time. I believe they're all the same. There's almost nothing in this world that was created perfectly the first time. You must try and fail and try again until it finally works. Those cliche phrases have meaning and some truth to them, but they leave out an extremely important detail. We must try. I stated earlier that growing up, my parents' sole focus was not my performance, but instead it was my effort. They cared that I tried. To them, effort was always the thing that mattered the most. How hard did you try to study for that test? Why did you cut that run short? These questions were not about performance, but about how hard I was working. In my family, we always grouped effort in with attention. Did you pay attention to the material? And if not, how do you fix that? I always did well in elementary school, but test scores never really mattered to me. They were nice, of course, but they didn't necessarily make me feel proud. The farthest back I can remember for an example of pride is to about 5th grade. For some unknown reason to me, I went on about a month-long streak of performing very poorly on math tests. The concepts were not inherently difficult, and those that were I clarified with some simple questions in class. Finally, after about 2 weeks of this, we met with my math teacher to ask what problems he was seeing. My parents were not upset with me. They understood that I tried in class and had a strong understanding of the material. My teacher showed us the tests, and the immediate comment was, "It's just his arithmetic. He's moving too fast and is not organized." This memory stuck with me because I remember my parents not being upset. From then on, the question I got after every test was, did you move too fast or did you just not understand the material? The first could only be fixed by me, while the second required real aid from a teacher. I did not lack understanding of the subject, but instead the attention needed to make sure I did the little things right. I was able to fix my own problem with that little bit of attention, and that was what finally gave me some pride. I felt my effort pay off. That was the feeling I wanted to keep having. I no longer wanted to feel like I got a grade. I wanted to feel like I earned it. Those two things combined made me feel the best. And while that felt good, the opposite end of it made me want to give that extra effort. For those of you out there who are runners or have ever raced competitively before, I'm sure you can agree with me that the worst feeling is crossing the finish line and knowing that you still had more left in you. That's how it feels for me when I know that I did not give all the effort that I had to a task, race, or assignment. That was the biggest mental change that I went through, especially in terms of academics. I realized that what my parents had always tried to teach me was that I couldn't fail myself if I put in everything I had. They never guaranteed my success, but somehow they guaranteed pride. The greatest thing about effort is that with an increase in it, you often get a better result. For every 2 slow race 4th form year came with a milestone broken last year. Every failed math test rewarded with a strong performance. And for every loss deciding match came an undefeated record in multiple third set tiebreaks last year. These were all boosted by the fact that I knew how hard I'd worked to get there. But that isn't how it always is. Even with all that work and effort, I still fell sometimes. However, these times feel different now. I've learned that I can lose, yet still be proud of the work that I put in. I can and have gone to every extra help and asked every question and still not gotten the grade. The test had a letter that I did not want to see. Sometimes you can do everything possible and things just don't work out. But I still felt good. I felt like I gave something all I had and I had worked for it. I was able to recognize that my performance was okay because I had truly given it all my effort. I was proud of the work, not of the outcome. It was and always will be the effort that makes me proud of myself. I realize now why the young man does not truly care if people don't like the Seashell Museum. It's because he sees the work that his family has put in over multiple generations. He's proud that he was given the opportunity to put his work into it so that he can pass it along one day. Performance does not directly give us happiness. Pride does. Of course, you can be proud of your performance, but I do not think that's always true. Everyone has a different reason for how pride and performance manifests itself in their lives. For some, the result may be all that is needed, and that's perfectly fine. For me, pride is derived by knowing that I put all of my effort into something. Even if you find it does not work, I encourage you all to think about it the same way I do. At some point today, I would like everyone to think of one thing that made you proud of yourself. Maybe you presented in class, finished a project you worked really hard on, or scored a goal in practice. It could be anything. You can tell someone about it, but you don't have to. I promise that when you think of that thing, you will feel a little better than you did before. I hope you can all realize the same thing I did. That finding a moment to be proud of what you worked for will make the good moments great and the bad moments a little bit better. Thank you.